What's shaking, folks? Back with another reaction, back with some more William Shatner. Thank you again to Han Solo. And though I do not think I've gone through all the tracks from Seeking Major Tom, I decided to change things up, shake it up a bit, and I'm going to start going through some of the tunes from his 2004 album, Has Been, which is a very funny title, of course. Given the nature of Seeking Major Tom, I did a little research this time and discovered, at least with the opening tune, and presumably with all or most of the others, this appears to be another album of cover songs because the first track seems to have been written by a group named Pulp. I don't know Pulp, but I am amused by the band name. Nevertheless, this tune is called Common People, so I wonder in what context or why the tunes for this Shatner album were chosen. I'm assuming he's on vocals, and that is the nature of these covers, that they're songs by others, but with specifically Shatner on vocals, though I do wonder about the surrounding instrumentation. Could it be by the actual band? Could it be by well-trained musicians, even if they're not the actual band, which seemed to be the case with Seeking Major Tom? So, yes, Common People, it refers to ordinary folk, whether blue-collar, like socioeconomically, specifically, or otherwise, but people who are not exceptional, people who are not stars, which seems to fit in part with the concept of has-been. Now, I suppose has-been indicates someone who is now common or unremarkable, but who was at some point a very significant figure, whether it's in music specifically, or just some form of cultural notoriety. So, yeah, there seems to be a bit of meta-comedy or reference in selecting this tune as a cover for the album. In any case, let's give it a listen. This is William Shatner and his performance of Common People, a track apparently by, I'm not sure if they're English, I want to say it said UK, but by a band named Pulp originally. Hello? Oh, this may be some issue with my own setup, but maybe not. Okay, let's try that again. No, apparently the opening of this tune is quiet.
She came from Greece. She had a thirst for knowledge. She studied sculpture at St. Martin's College. That's where I caught her eye. She told me that her dad was loaded. I said, in that case, I'll have a rum and Coca-Cola. She said, fine. And in 30 seconds time, she said, I want to live like common people. I want to do whatever common people do. I want to sleep with common people. I want to sleep with common people like you. Well, what else could I do? I said, I'll see what I can do. I took her to a supermarket. I don't know why, but I had to start it somewhere. So it started there. I said, pretend you've got no money. She just laughed and said, oh, you're so funny. I said, yeah? Well, I can't see anyone else smiling in here. Are you sure? You want to live like common people? You want to see whatever common people see? You want to sleep with common people? You want to sleep with common people like me? But she didn't understand.
She just smiled and held my hand. Ran to price a barber shop. Cut your hair and get a job. Smile some flags and play some pool. Pretend you never went to school, but still you'll never get it right. When you're lying in bed at night, watching roaches climb the wall. If you call your dad, he could stop it all here.
You'll never live like common people. You'll never do whatever common people do. You'll never fail like common people. You'll never watch your life slide out of you and dance and drink and screw, because there's nothing else to do. things that you do because you think that poor is cool.
Like a dog lying in a corner, they'll bite you and never warn you. Look out.
They'll tear your insides out because everybody hates a tourist.
Everybody hates a tourist, especially when he thinks it's all such a lie.
Yeah, and the chip stains grease will come out in the bath.
You will never understand how it feels to live your life with no meaning or control.
And with nowhere left to go, you're amazed that they exist. And they burn so bright while you can only wonder why. Rent a flat, buy a shop, cut your hair, get a job, smoke some fags, play some pool, pretend you never went to school. But still you gotta get it right, cause when you laid in bed at night, watching roaches climb the wall, if you called your dad, he could stop it all, yeah. You'll never live like common people. You'll never do what common people do. You'll never fail like common people. You'll never watch your life slide out of you and dance and drink and screw, cause there's nothing else to do.
Wondered if we get a cheeky bit at the end there. So, wow, like, I'll get to Shatner's vocal delivery in a moment, which is in some ways very much in his lane, and yet in a couple moments felt like he was embracing the sonic atmosphere of the source material. Now, to be fair, I don't know if the source material really is that faster pop punk, maybe a bit of alternative rock, though really the like pop punk or like more like mainstream punk sounds, meaning not like hardcore punk, was the vibe that I got sonically. So I don't know how close to or far away from the original is to this sonically, but lyrics really interesting because, you know, it sounds like a chance encounter with someone who comes from the elite upper crust of society but who wants to slum it up or indeed engage in socioeconomic tourism. And it sounds like the narrator's saying, look, I can try to show you what you're asking for, to live like common people, to sleep with common people, to know what it's like to be on the other side of society, but you'll never get it. Like, I can take you to a supermarket where you have to shop on a budget. I can take you to, you know, get your hair cut by a low-end barber, and you can try to get a job in a blue-collar world, and you can try to live in a tenement that's, you know, run down with roaches running up the walls and so on, but you won't really get it because you'll just have this sense that, well, I could just call my dad and, you know, get him to, you know, take me out of this, or to give me funds that would make it where I don't actually have to worry. And ultimately, you're doing this for a laugh in the first place. You just kind of want to, you know, get a bit of excitement or a bit of a thrill from living like people whose lives are, in reality, complicated and stressful and feeling like they're never going to make it, or, you know, they can't really get it right. And so to you, there's always an out, there's always an egress that will allow you to pull yourself out of this if the stakes actually felt like they were really getting high. And then it felt like Shatner's vocal delivery was capturing a bit of the maybe lashing out frustration that might come from a common person like a dog in a corner who bites without warning, because they're actually living this, and they maybe don't appreciate someone who's just, oh, you know, let me do this as a sort of entertainment, let me do this to break the doldrum of my privileged lifestyle, and therefore, you know, maybe even making a mockery of or trivializing the experiences that are being referenced in the other lines. I absolutely do love the vocals that came through with the other singer, which again could be the singer from Pulp, or just again maybe someone who is more more in line with the way the vocals are delivered in the original. So I don't know in that regard, but of course Shatner's vocals have that spoken word type of delivery, but in a couple moments hitting the lines with a bit more ferocity and slightly more vocal melody. But I feel like the tune really works, again, in the concept of the album name Has Been, where maybe you can extrapolate the concepts that play in the lyrics to someone who's, sort of now living more day to day or paycheck to paycheck, but who perhaps knows the other side of that to be a bit more wealthy or affluent or socially prominent, though seemingly in a dynamic different from the idea of someone who's engaging or trying to live like normal people and have relationships and even physical intimacy with common people as a sort of cathartic, let me just see what this is like type of experience or goal. So yeah, there's a lot going on in the tune, and I do wonder whether the original does have that pop punk feeling. It even felt like that chorus that we heard was very much like Common People. It felt less like fully trained chorus from like the Cambridge fine arts department or something like that, and more just like a bunch of people kind of, hey, we're common people, we're all singing together, and that's what it's like down here. So yeah, really interested by this one. Once again, shout out to Han Solo for sharing the Shatner material, as well as to those crazy folk who've been following this deep dive, which again has been more occasional, but as I've been saying in a number of deep dives, I am trying to catch up on and stay at least semi-regular with some of the deep dives that fell by the wayside or got left behind unintentionally. So I appreciate the patience. Let me know what you think of this crazy man and this crazy performance. I will see you next time. Peace.